And staying with the story, let's have some more information from the Secretary to the Niger State Government, Ibrahim Laden, joining us live from our Abuja studios. Thank you for joining us, the news across Nigeria.
Thank you.
How far along are rescue efforts to free anyone else trapped by the floodwaters? As we understand, access roads, and as we can see, that access roads have been cut off.
Well, essentially, the state government have been making a lot of effort to evacuate the victim to safety, and safety camps have been established in most of the areas. A lot of relief materials have been given to the victims, and importantly, sensitization had been going on so that those trapped in areas that are not affected so far, considering the volume of water coming and which kept coming, a lot of information have been disseminated through the traditional rulers, through the NGOs, and all the critical stakeholders. You can see for yourself, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Niger State, Alhaji Abubakar Sani Bello, took a chopper and went round the affected communities that downstream, from Mokwa down to Keso, Moregi, and to Moye area. And you can see it is a very pathetic situation. The flood is so devastating, in the words of His Excellency, and the state so far have been able to provide succor through some relief material. But that does not mean enough has been done. But what we are concentrating on now is like the DG in SEMA, that's the Niger State Emergency Management Agency, said, is to make sure that those who are already in the safety camps are given adequate care.
Those in the relief camps, as we just saw in our report, that primary school in Zungeru, what's the situation with that camp regarding the number of facilities as well in other ones and the capacity to take people in?
Unfortunately, over 100 communities are affected, that's downstream. And like the Zungeru situation, which is also downstream the river Shiroro, a lot of facilities, like toilets, like medical facilities have to be provided, food, and essentially where the victims can at least raise their head. You've seen the victims, you've heard from the children and their parents. Indeed, it's a very, very sad situation. But the state is doing everything humanly possible to make sure we at least ameliorate the situation of the victims.
I know it might be hard to predict at this moment, but what will determine the length of stay of the victims at the camps? Do you have an idea?
Well, that will be determined essentially by the amount of rainfall and the flood itself. As much as the flood keep coming, we have to really provide more and more and make sure they are safe. So there is no end in sight as far as their stay is concerned.
Have you gotten any help from any response from the federal government so far? We heard the governor speaking of how he'd have to appeal to the federal government for assistance since the scale of destruction is too much. Have you heard back from the federal government?
Up to the time I got to the studio here, there have not been any of such response, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay, thank you. And we hope that the federal government does respond. And once again, our sympathies to the people of Niger State and even all Nigerians concerning this very, very great disaster. Thank you so much for coming on News Across Nigeria. The Secretary to the Niger State Government, Ibrahim Ladin.